Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole bringing you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on what time you are watching this live. Hello, crew. Hope all is well. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. Hit the like and hit the hype. And this is my review on Belle Collective, season 6, episode 6, Girls Trippin'. This must be a filler episode week. This episode was okay, but there are definitely some things that made me say, what the heck is going on over here? What up, D? Hope all is well. So we are still at the restaurant where we have that cliffhanger question on if you have seen Glenn doing anything inappropriate. And of course, Latrice was drinking on her drink like she didn't want to say anything. But of course, in this episode, she says, no, I don't think so. But she was like, but at the same time, I don't know Amanda to be a liar. So you just may want to take heed if she said something for sure. Okay, Latrice. Latrice is still trying to pretend like she's clueless. Like, she is like, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. Girl, you knew. Let's just stop the nonsense. You knew. It is what it is. Like, let's just leave it alone at this point. So I'm just like, stop playing like you're so innocent in the situation because you're not. You're not. Before those cameras rolled, you're not going to be able to convince me that you knew nothing about what Amanda was going to say on that freaking camera. Why? Because Latrice, you come off very controlling, and you come off that if you are going to bring someone on the camera, you're going to be very aware of what they're going to say and what kind of drama they're going to start. So you're not going to convince me otherwise. But of course, she's still playing stupid and playing innocent like she had no idea what the heck was going on. Now, Selena, on the other hand, she in a confessional saying, I've known both of these women for years. Like, can we all just get along? She gonna stay out of it just for the sake of staying on the show. After all, this is her first season where she actually is a Belle, and she gonna make sure that she try to continue to collect that coin. So she's just like, I just wish, like, I just hate this is happening. Okay, all right, Selena, got it. You're not gonna pick a side in the situation. I see it. But with that being said, moving on, Marie and Letitia wake up in the same bed, child, because clearly Letitia said that she was not going to sleep in the same bed with, or the same room in these bunk beds with Latrice. And so at that point, she's just like, when people show me who they are, I believe them. And I'm like, well, Glenn's been showing you for a very long time who he is, and yet you're still with him. Here's my thing in the situation. We can say all day long that she should put all of that energy towards Glenn. Her energy and most of her energy still should go towards Glenn. However, you are not going to sit up there and what we find out later that Latrice and Letitia are more close than we thought they were. You're not going to have that type of interaction with me on a consistent basis and not tell me what the heck was told, what's going on, or wait, what may possibly happen in front of those cameras. So at the same time, yes, she needs to put that energy on Glenn. Glenn is the one who keeps on embarrassing her. But at the same time, Latrice is playing in her face. Both can be true. Two truths can coexist. So with that being said, Marie said, it's time for you to get back to your purpose on what God wants you to do. And I'm like, to have low budget brunches? Like, that is your calling? Okay. But with that being said, child, they get ready for the dang on brunch. Letitia, I'm so sick of you. She had the audacity to sit up there and say that she's going to wear something comfortable because she's constantly walking around during the brunches. And this is her version of being comfortable. That outfit. I don't get it. I don't get it. She always looks so uncomfortable. Like, this outfit is so tight. Like, you can even see the crease of her drawers. Like, what is going on here? You can't tell me you're comfortable. You can't. Like, you can't even lift up your arms, mama. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, if you would have moved your arm the wrong way too fast, a button would have popped off of you. Like, this, what is comfortable? Like, and she's not the only thick girl on this show. Marie is thick. Like, she just doesn't know how to properly dress. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And Carrie, who the heck did your hair? I don't know if this is supposed to be soft curls. I don't know if this is supposed to be a twist out. I don't know. I don't know, but I'm a need for the person who did your hair. You need to fire them. And definitely the person who did your makeup, you need to fire them. So Carrie has the brunch at one of her restaurants on the Gulf. And she says that she appreciates Letitia actually doing her relaunch of the brunches at her restaurant. And she's giving a speech about how she loves women. She loves to uplift women and the positivity and everything. And baby, while she talking and acting like she about to cry, her freaking bat lashes about to fly away. About to fly away. Okay. And I was like, ma'am, there's no way you did not feel. There is no way you did not feel that. I'm sorry. Like, you've had to feel it. You had to see it. And Latrice is in the background cutting up, laughing at it because I know she saw it. But I was just like, Carrie, how did you not know? I think she knew, but she was just trying to play it off, hoping nobody else saw it. Baby, the world saw it. Okay. The world saw it, and production was messy as I don't know what, with the big old arrow pointing towards her lashes. And of course, in a confessional, all the girls was clowning her, like, girl, like, your lash, like, how did you not feel it? Like, and even Latrice said, I have never had a lash fall off of me. And I'm like, I haven't either. Out of all the times I've worn makeup, I have never, like, I've had to practically pull them suckers off. Them suckers stay on, and you can feel them. You can feel them heavy things on you. So yeah, I was just like, child, but she, they try to help her, whatever the case may be. But with that, Letitia and Carrie said they were like pretty much social media BFFs. And Letitia says, don't be afraid to slide in someone's DM. And Messy Latrice in her confessional said, baby, that ain't in your ministry with what your husband doing for you to say something like sliding into the DMs. And I'm like, that's a little chuckle. I got to give you that. That's a little chuckle. But at the same time, I'm going to need for you to worry about your man in them condos. See, the problem is, Latrice, you keep on talking about how she needs to focus and be worried about her man. Baby, you need to be focused on yours. Yes, you need to focus on yours. Hey, Shayna, carrying those lashes were a hot mess, an absolute hot mess. Latrice was lying, but Letitia won't leave Glenn, so I don't even care. Yeah, but at the same time, I think any woman, if the way that it was described later on, I don't think any woman, if you constantly have that relationship with someone, they're going to feel a certain way when that happens, in my opinion. If that was me, I would feel a certain way, regardless on if she planned on leaving her husband or not. It's just a certain way that you do things, especially if you're about girl code. But at the same time, like I said, Latrice ain't a friend to nobody. She ain't a friend to no one. So with that being said, the brunch was a hit. They finally had Carrie take off her freaking eyelashes, child. But with that being said, Carrie says that she has a Creole dinner plan. And Marie is like, I don't like spicy food. First of all, Marie, all Creole food is not spicy. And again, what is up with you? Like, it's either one or two things. Marie, if you had that many restrictions as far as your diet is concerned and what you like and what you don't like, then that should have been something you gave to Carrie and production ahead of time. Or is she trying to tell us that her people can't cook? Like, is that what you're trying to tell us? And another thing, especially even at the restaurant, like, you couldn't order something else if you didn't like oysters. So I don't know. I don't know if this was just a part of the whole skit of it all, that Marie was just supposed to be difficult. But to a certain extent, I felt like she was being difficult. Like, if you have that many dietary restrictions, tell them up front or just order something else on the menu, because she can't read your mind. But one thing that Carrie did say that I thought was funny is I don't know what she said. Yeah, baby, I knew you liked unseasoned chicken when I saw Martin. Baby, I was like, dang, you went there, huh? She said, baby, I knew you like unseasoned chicken when I saw Martin. I said, look at you. She liked the white meat. She liked the white meat. Ain't nothing wrong with the white meat, honey. Ain't nothing wrong. So then they get back to the house, and then they end up having these hideous pajamas on. I mean, hideous. Make sure y'all hit the like button on the way in. Hit the like and hit the hype. Hideous pajamas on. I don't know who picked out these pajamas, but they need to burn them. But of course, Carrie sits up there and she's like, we're going to do a lemon squeeze, aka let's start some drama in front of the cameras. We're going to do a lemon squeeze where we can just air everything out because, you know what I'm saying, my sorority, we do lemon squeezes. Jackie on Married to Medicine also. They're a part of the same sorority, so I get it. But my thing is we don't need to repeat what Married to Medicine did. Like, y'all can't come up with something else. Y'all can't call it something else. Like, this is Married to Medicine, but whatever. So at that point, Carrie's family comes over, her mom, her aunt, and her mother-in-law, and they bring gumbo. And literally, they bring some other stuff too, bread pudding, some other stuff. And Marie is like, child, I ain't about to eat that. I ain't about to eat it. And I'm like, here we go. I'm like, gumbo isn't raw. Gumbo is actually cooked seafood, sausage, chicken, and everything else, whatever else they put in it. But again, she's like, she ain't going to eat it. With that being said, though, and I must say this because they always talk about how they Southern belles. Marie decides to order a freaking pizza from Pizza Hut, honey. Think that's Pizza Hut. Don't tell nobody. She just ordered food. And literally, they don't even know who's at the door. And then she sits up there and she was like, y'all want a piece? Y'all want a piece? And Selena, just as trifling, says, I do. So that even told me that either they don't know how to cook, but at the same time, I would have said one or two things. You know, Carrie, I don't do seafood or I don't do this. I hope you don't mind, but I need to order me some food if that's perfectly okay. The fact that she did not do that and she just was like, I'm about to get this food. This is the best pizza I done had. To me, it was rude. Like, I'm not going to somebody's house and they planning all of this stuff for me. And trust, I have been to people's houses that I felt like the food wasn't that dang on good. I may sit up there and try a taste of it a little bit or whatever the case may be. And I may sneak out and get me some food, or typically, knowing me, I always got a little snack in my carry-on bag or something like that. But yeah, I did think it was rude. Now, again, I haven't met, in my personal opinion and just my experience, I haven't met anyone who's Creole and specializes in Creole food who doesn't know how to cook. I literally have never, ever. So I was like, baby, if they can't cook, that is the ultimate sin. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, that is the ultimate sin. But I don't know. I just feel like Marie was possibly not telling us something that we just weren't aware of. Now, Marie saw Carrie eat off the ground and tried to feed those nasty mayonnaise sandwiches. She don't want no food from Carrie. Well, then if that's the case, then just like the restaurant, you could order something else that the restaurant didn't actually order. You know what I'm saying? Like, Carrie didn't have anything to do with the restaurant. She was just turning her nose up to everything. And if you don't like seafood or raw seafood, get something else on the menu. So something is telling me that there was maybe some type of scripted stuff going on that was involved in this. Because I'm like, the restaurant had nothing to do with it. Now, the other, like her family, that's another thing too. But at the same time, just like we saw Carrie burn the freaking bread, I don't think Carrie is the cook. I really don't. She claims she can cook. Yeah, I don't think she can cook. I think she has always had people in her family that have cooked. Her husband may even cook. She's not the cook. She is the one who's the businesswoman. She may have the restaurant. She got people cooking for her, but she is not a cook. Baby, if you can burn bread like that and just, she don't know how to multitask. She like all over the place. You know what I'm saying? She can't be superwoman. There are women out there who can't do it all. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe Marie will tell us at the reunion why she was just kind of sticking her nose up to everything. Because I'm like, okay, fine. You don't like oysters. I don't even know if she even had oysters before. That's the problem. But even if you don't like oysters, you could get something else on the menu. So with that being said, child, Carrie pulls an Aisha. I'm sorry about Aisha. She pulls Aisha and says that Jackson is ratchet. Although Aisha wouldn't say Jackson is ratchet, more than anything, she would say the girls were ratchet because she had already said, remember in her first season, that she felt like the girls weren't cute. But she said Jackson is ratchet, child, and they was like, Jackson is ratchet? You calling Jackson ratchet? I know you ain't calling Jackson ratchet. And Letitia like, well, I think Carrie felt offended when y'all said that people on the Gulf, they just dressed down, and y'all was trying to make it seem like Jackson brought the A game at the brunch and they was dressing down. And Carrie's like, no, I didn't say that. And Letitia's like, I'm trying to help you, Carrie. It's interesting that y'all ain't got no problem with Carrie calling Jackson ratchet, but y'all had every problem with Aisha. Just it's very interesting. It's very interesting how they treated Aisha versus Carrie. So it seems like to me they're purposely trying to make sure that Carrie is gonna be good, because if they had an issue with Carrie, then it's gonna look like something when it comes to this show, if you know what I mean. But I just feel like, to me, Aisha sticking her nose up and Carrie sticking her nose up is the same freaking thing. Why are y'all giving Carrie so much grace and then give Aisha grace? But okay. So Carrie brings Latrice and Letitia to the table about their issues. And if they have anything else that they need to talk about, then they need to put it out there. And so Marie, of course, is chiming in because, of course, she's that friend who always feel like she got to defend her friend who don't even want to speak for herself. And Marie is like, look, if I hear about your man doing wrong, I'm not bringing it to you. I ain't bringing it to the other woman. I'm going to check him and I'm going to tell him to clean it up, or I'm going to tell them. I'm going to tell her. Okay, Marie. And that's exactly how you will become unalive, playing with people like that. At that point, you might as well tell her. To tell the man, you better clean this up or I'm going to tell them, you're risking yourself. You're risking yourself to potentially that man not being playing with a full deck of cards, if you know what I mean, to make sure that his secret is kept, may do something to you. So you might as well tell the woman, if that's the case, you acting like you Suge Knight, big, bad, and bold, like you better tell her or I'm going to tell him, okay, Marie, Chris, you about to meet Aisha. I know. I was saying Aisha. Yeah, it's Aisha, child. Aisha. So yeah, but she was like, I'm gonna go to him. Okay, well, you do that. You do that. And I believe Marie that she would, but you better be mindful because everybody ain't playing with a full deck. So Latrice is like, I mean, I'm the one who always get all the smoke. And Maria's like, because you bring the smoke. Like, enough is enough. It's about sisterhood. Where's the sisterhood at? And Letitia's like, oh, Marie, you always make it so dramatic and extra. No, that's just Marie. That's how she talks. I wish you had that type of passion behind your voice when it comes to this type of stuff. I wish you had this passion behind your voice when it comes to your own man, but you don't. You're kind of passive in this situation. And at the end of the day, if you was this bold when it came to your man, you would either be gone, or he will realize that he can't make no other mistakes. He can't even dance with another woman because he will potentially lose you. But he knows you're going to stay. So what's the point? Now, her name was Lakara. I don't know. But she calls herself a minister medium. Huh? What? Excuse me. Child, Carrie, at this point, honey, I think I would probably guess that voodoo is in your bloodline. A minister medium, a minister of what? Help me understand. So most of them in the confessionals, like, honey, I don't dibble dabble in that. That's against my religion, my principles. Latrice even says that she has a phobia about mediums because she's a Baptist and it's against her religion. But she's telling the lady, like, well, maybe it's a misconception. And this lady says it is a misconception because Jesus was a medium. I don't mean to get preachy on y'all, but Let me tell y'all something. And the fact that no one corrected her or challenged her, but all of them, a good amount of them was claiming that they Christian. This is the problem with Christians who say they Christian versus Christians who actually read their word. Because where the heck did you get that Jesus was a medium? Then she had the nerve to try to compare it to when Jesus was on the mountain and was talking to Moses. And I said, ma'am, Jesus is the word. Jesus is God in flesh. He can talk to anyone, especially Moses and Elijah. He can talk to them because life continues after death. He's the one who created the life. They are living with him in heaven. What the heck are you talking about? And no one said anything. No one said anything. They was just literally like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to stay out of it. I'm like, no, challenge what she said. Now, some of them could have challenged what she said. And then, of course, the production edited it out. But I was just like, how are you going to sit up there and say something like Jesus was a medium? And then that was just it. And they just allowed her to do her thing. You know why? Because of Carlos. See, Carlos be sitting up there playing that mess too. I forgot which interview he did where someone had recently had a relative that passed and he was saying how he was channeling or feeling that person's spirit or energy. And that person was telling him to X, Y, and Z. Carlos, shut up. You want to be a producer. You want to be a so-called medium. You want to be a talk show host. Shut up. So I feel like that was Carlos doing with this so-called, I can't even say minister and medium at the same time. It feels like an oxymoron. But let's be clear, for the Christians who know, the dead don't know what the living is doing. She talking to familiar spirits. And I hate this, especially when it comes to Selena, who is truly still mourning her son. And when this medium starts, she's like, oh, I feel the presence of a man or whatever the case may be. And did he pass suddenly and all of this stuff? And see what happens when you're talking. And my thing is this. I do feel like there are certain people who do know information, whether it's information coming from God and they call them prophets or information coming from the other side. I can't decipher who's a prophet, who's a medium. But then again, they keep saying you keep reading your word, you will know who's who. With that being said, though, the problem is when you have these type of situations, she gives you a little bit of information and then you decide to start spilling the beans about your own information. So example, she starts off saying, oh, your father and you look just like your mother. And then Selena ends up giving her own information, telling the medium that the sudden unaliving may have been her son. And I was like, don't give her anything. Don't give her the information. She is so-called medium. She should know that information, right? So then at that point, that's when she now all of a sudden says she gonna channel the son, right? And at that point, Selena is like, production, I need to know right now, did y'all give her any notes or is this coming from her? And production's like, no. And she's like, I haven't even seen the show. I just felt so bad because me personally, in my opinion, I don't think this lady is it. I don't think this lady is it. And I feel like this was a moment to trigger Selena's feelings again. That is just my opinion on the situation. But yeah, I was just like, no. And then she was like, you have something of his. And I'm like, of course she has something of his. That's his mama. Of course she would have something of his. I'm sure she has a lot of his stuff that was left over. Of course. So to say she has something of his, yeah, of course she would. That to me is obvious. But she tells Selena that her son will get justice. I am really hoping that her son gets justice and she is not going to be like holding on to that. Girl, go to Jesus. Pray to God about that. So then Carrie talks about how her aunt unalived herself. Her aunt unalived herself. And how, she was crying immediately. And this lady says that her aunt had a lot of trauma, a lot of pain. And then she said, like families like to sweep things under the rug. And Carrie's like, oh, like, I can't take it. And she was like, me and my cousin always talk about that, how our family like to sweep things under the rug. And I'm like, a lot of families do, boo. Like, we just had a great example of that with the Braxtons. Like, everybody family, for the most part, I feel like tries to sweep things under the rug. It's just the older generations, that's what they did. They didn't talk about stuff. They didn't believe in therapy. They just swept things under the rug. But because of Carrie and her emotions and everything, all of a sudden Latrice is like, okay, I want to talk about my dad. I want to talk to my dad. And I was like, Chad, what happened to your morals and your values, honey? That just went out the window. So then this lady says that Latrice's dad is apologizing for pretty much how he abandoned them. And Latrice is hurt. And one thing I will say about Latrice, and I don't know if this is actually a compliment, but when Latrice does cry, you can tell it is coming from a very deep place. A lot of times it doesn't come off as a superficial cry, which tells me what I've continued to say about Latrice. She's a hurt person who loves to hurt people. She has not processed the pain in her life. She has not processed her abandonment issues with her father. She has not processed losing her brothers and her nephew. So she lashes out, or she does vindictive things, you know what I'm saying? Like, to just kind of numb, I guess, what she doesn't really want to face. And when you see her crying in the scene, you can tell it is coming from a deep place, a place where she has not healed. Because, of course, naturally, if she had healed, just like if Carrie had healed, they wouldn't be crying the way that they are. Selena is understandable because she lost a child in the situation. That's a process that's going to take a very long time if you ever fully heal from it. But when it comes to Carrie and Latrice, it's very obvious they have never healed and they always wanted answers. But you can tell it comes from a deep place with Latrice. And so at that point, when the lady is done, Maria's like, well, Latrice, how did you feel about that, since you were kind of distant about wanting her to speak to you? And she said, well, she said a lot of stuff that was factual. And I'm like, yeah, familiar spirits and demons, they can also tell you some truth too. They will tell you some truth too, but God is the only all-knowing. That's the only one who's going to know everything, right? But yeah, she was just like, she said some stuff, but then she said some of the stuff we already know, but we just like hearing it from someone else, it hits different. Tambra was like, her nice way of saying, I ain't falling for this, but she was just like, look, she was like, I just didn't connect with the lady. I don't know, maybe her energy or whatever, but I just didn't connect with her. Tambra wasn't feeling it. She was like, I ain't about to mess with this lady. So then at that point, after that's all said and done, they all about to go to bed in them hideous pajamas. And Latrice is like, Letitia, can I speak to you outside for a second? And I'm like, here we go. I'm honestly over this conversation, but here we go. So Latrice is like, I know you feel like I should have told you something. And this is when we get the big reveal that Letitia's like, yes, especially from you, because we talk every day. Would you guys have guessed that her and Latrice talk every day? And Latrice didn't rebuttal and say, no, we don't. So that says something. The fact that she said, we talk every day. Y'all mean to tell me, even if your man is the low down dirty dog, you have someone that you speak to on a day-to-day basis. They filming their own scenes, you filming your own scenes, but you are consistently talking to them on a consistent basis. And you mean to tell me that you don't tell me nothing at all about what was said on that camera in that scene, or what could possibly come up, or anything? You said nothing. Y'all can't tell me y'all not gonna feel a certain way. You're not gonna, like, Latrice would feel a certain way if Letitia or anybody else did something like that to her. So when she said that, I said, oh, so this is not just a production situation where y'all only talk to each other or deal with each other when it's production time. The fact that she talks to her every day, Latrice is still wrong. She's wrong, regardless on if you guys feel that Glenn, because we know Glenn It's trifling. And she's never, ever going to leave that man. But Latrice at the same time is wrong and dirty for that. You going to talk about everything else, but you ain't going to tell me what was said when it comes to Amanda England. That is when I said, oh, okay. All right, well, Latrice, you low down for that because you not, and that's why she keeps saying, don't play in my face. Do not play in my face. And Latrice is like, I know you feel like I should have told you. And Letitia's like, yeah. And she said, and it just seems like you always bring people around me that are coming for me. From Antoinette to Amanda, you're always bringing people around coming for me because, of course, they're being Latrice's mouthpiece. And Latrice is like, I want to know where we stand. And I'm like, I would have said in the gutter, heifer. That's where we stand, in the gutter. And you ain't coming back from the gutter. But at the same time, Letitia's just like, look, it's like, if you're not for me, I don't want you around me. And Latrice is like, if I had a bird's eye view, I would do things differently. And I'm like, okay, but here's my thing. And maybe I missed it. And y'all let me know, because I'm definitely, some of y'all gonna let me know in the comments. While she's saying all of this, has an apology came out of Latrice's mouth? Have we heard an apology? Even if she wants to continue on with the lie that she was not aware of what was going to happen. The point is, it happened, and it happened in your house. So even a simple, look, I apologize because I can see the way that it looks. I apologize that you had to feel that pain and that embarrassment in my house. That was unacceptable. Do you hear anything like that coming out of Latrice's mouth? Has she even said anything like that? Or she just keeps saying, I don't know why you blaming me. I'm always the one who always gets the damn if you do, you damn if you don't. Tamber knew that information too. Why am I the one being blamed? But she's not saying I apologize. At the end of the day, it happened in your house, under your roof. That in itself warrants some type of an apology. But the fact that she's not saying that, she's, to me, just going with the flow. Now, she cried when she was out there talking to Letitia. I don't know if those were sincere tears, or it was just more like, she's the head honcho of this show and I done effed up, which I honestly don't think that Latrice would get knocked off of the show because of Letitia. But at the same time, I'm just like, girl, I think those tears in that situation more than anything was your guilt. You know how it looks. You know what was going on. And you just probably felt like, okay, Letitia's just going to get over it. And maybe she's just going to go after Glenn and not necessarily come after me. But now that we know that you talk to her on a day-to-day basis, any woman would look at you side eye and be like, excuse me? And in your house, and this goes down, and you couldn't warn me about anything? Shady as hell. Now let me see what y'all saying in the comment section. The medium was too much. Yeah, it was. I think that was a Carlo King doing right there. I agree with what you're saying about Latrice. Yeah, Latrice was shady. Once I knew that she said that they talked every day, I said, oh, heck no. Heck no. Like, this is unacceptable. Exactly. You never knew. I never knew either. I thought, that's why I was just like, girl, and Latrice definitely is the type to keep her friends close but her enemies closer. Them talking every day don't mean that Latrice really sees her as a friend. She's still playing in her face, but at the same time, I can understand Letitia's frustration in the situation. If I deal with you on a day-to-day basis and talk to you on a day-to-day basis and you say nothing to me, it's like you purposely wanted to embarrass me. You purposely wanted that to happen. So did Antoinette and Glenn have something going on? No, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first season, Letitia was trying to accuse Antoinette of messing or wanting Glenn. I think that's what happened. And Antoinette came back to kind of defend herself, but she mentioned Glenn when she confronted her last season. But I believe that's what the situation was. Letitia made it seem like Antoinette wanted Glenn, and Antoinette was like, girl, I don't want that man. Your man ain't even my type. And I truly believe that. I don't think Antoinette would even want to deal with a Glenn. I'm sorry. She just seems like the type that she would look down on him. she wouldn't even find him attractive and on so many levels. But yeah, so that's what happened. But the reality is that Antoinette just randomly coming on this show after seasons of being off the show, and of course invited because of Latrice, and then literally comes to that actual get together that they had just to confront Letitia. I mean, even last year I was like, Latrice know what she doing. She knows what she's doing. But the problem is, I think right now, I don't even think it has anything necessarily do with Letitia being upset. I think she's also a little, I don't want to say scared, but I think she realizes she messed up with her own man because this situation has messed up Glenn and Cliff's relationship. And I think that's where it gets tricky for her. If this was just a Letitia and, Latrice battle situation, that's different. But I truly think that Glenn is side eyeing her and the mess that she caused and how that looks on him and his bromance with Glenn. I think that's the issue. But with that being said, that was the episode. Not really much going on here. A lot of crying, a lot of pain. I'm honestly praying for everybody who is that does have trauma that they need to heal from. Again, I just feel like Selena getting to that medium getting to her. I don't know. I'm just like, baby, take it to God. Take it to God, because that's the only way you're gonna get the healing and the peace and the answers that you need. Definitely not from no medium. Not from no medium. And she calling herself a medium. So to me, I just felt like that medium, she wasn't the real deal, in my personal opinion. But with that being said, you guys, let me know what y'all think about this episode. Let me know what you guys think about the low budget brunch, them low budget pajamas, the low budget everything at this point, the low budget lashes, the low budget wigs. So with that being said, you guys, please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on my next video. Toodles.